Higgins sizing up Murphy, drives, floats, hangs, and scores on the turnaround. J-Dub way behind the three-point line and hits way behind the three-point line. Got blocked. What a rejection by Holmgren. Standing tall like a wall.
This is Udart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested Podcast, coming to you live Sunday, November 3rd. Thunder are 6-0, baby. Best start in franchise history. Thank you guys for tuning in. You're in the live stream tonight. Drop some comments. Leave a like on the YouTube video. That would mean a ton to us. If you're watching the YouTube video at a later point in time, still click that like button. It works. Please do it. And if you download the podcast on whichever podcast platform you prefer, thank you for doing that. Leave a 5-star rating. Write a little nice word to us. That would mean a lot. I read them before bed.
Just one word.
Just one word. Just a singular word. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. I've got Jay Da Silva here with me.
Hello.
Justin Peabody is also here.
Hello, everybody.
Taylor Peterson.
Full starting 5 tonight. Who's ready for a 2-hour podcast? I am. Vegas.
And Nick Crane.
Let's go.
Nick is speaking it or
That was
writing it
a
into
whiteboard
existence.
prop for those listening
Yes.
to the audio version.
Listeners.
A football
If
joke
you
that I
have-
honestly don't get. So
Yeah.
congrats.
If you have not already, make sure to follow us on all of social media. We're pretty much everywhere. We're kind of a big deal. Also, in the top corner of your screen, there's a QR code to join our Patreon. You'll probably want to join the Patreon because it is an incredible experience. We'll get into it in a second, but we had our first virtual watch party on the Patreon last night. A huge success, I think I would say. So we'll get more into that in a minute, but join the Patreon. You can also find the Patreon link in the description of the show, or just go to patreon.com/theuncontested. What else do I need to say? We're brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network and Prairie Artisan Ales. I had to build some tension.
Justin and JD have the exact same shocked face.
Yeah, they do.
Every
They both kind of do
time.
that. It's like, it reminds me of like whenever your dog kind of like tilts their head a little bit.
They both
Yes.
do it.
Silva's is the eyebrow raise, and it's more of like a
Mhm.
concerned, and then Justin's is more of like a
Justin does
confused.
that.
Like, where are you going with this?
I have that face of Justin. I have that screenshotted as a meme.
as your wallpaper.
It's my wallpaper.
That's hilarious.
Gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We are going to recap the Thunder vs. Clippers game. We're going to do some Prairie Trivia. We got a game of Take It or Leave It, an uncontested staple. We're going to take a trip around the association with Jay Da Silva. And we're going to wrap up with some predictions for the Thunder for the week. Let's
You
start
keep
off.
saying that. People are actually going to continue to think that JD's name is Jay Da Silva.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yes.
Just checking.
Jay Da Silva.
It's a rebrand. Soft launch.
Soft launch.
Speaking of Jay Da Silva and the watch party last night, we got in the Discord and we watched Thunder vs. Clippers last night. How many people were in the Discord? Probably like 50?
I don't think that's accurate, but we can roll with it.
There was a lot.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna
Actually.
say-
I don't
I'm
know how
gonna
to
say
even tell.
50.
I don't have
we're-
the slightest idea.
We're going to go down the line. JD, how was the watch party?
Well,
Favorite moment of the watch party?
had a lot of fun at that watch party. I had a bit to drink before. Got in. I had some company over that I waited. I joined late. I joined start of the third quarter.
Just as the Thunder started their run there. So
Yeah.
Silva, spark plug.
Yeah. No, immediately.
Spark plug Silva.
Yeah, immediately. It was chaos. It was really fun. Good vibes all around. The Sounders are really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just really fun to react along with everyone, except for the few times that Taylor said, "Let's go," and it was totally silent.
Taylor
I was like,
got
"Oh."
banned from the
Okay.
chat.
Yes, he did. Taylor
Then
got
I
banned from his own
unbanned-
watch party.
And unbanned myself.
Yeah.
because that's how that works.
We're
We'll
about
fix
to
that
remove
before the
admin
next
control
one.
from Taylor.
No,
Yeah.
there was a moment at the end after the game it ended that was special.
We'll let Nick wrap us up with that moment at the end. Justin, your thoughts?
We also made our own halftime entertainment by pulling up a YouTube video of Red Panda.
Can you sing
And-
the song for us?
It's been stuck in my head all day. So as a matter of fact,
Absolute
yes, I
banger.
can. Red Panda,
Amazing.
iconic as always, even if it was a YouTube video from like 2005. It was
Mhm.
great. Classic.
debut.
Red Panda Inner Prime is what that was. No, it was really fun. Everybody was jumping in the chat. Both audio and written chat had a blast. Super fun to watch. It felt like being at like a big virtual sports bar with the degenerates.
Taylor, thoughts on the watch party?
It was a blast. Just getting to I was able to jump in a little early and talk to everybody that was already in there. I think we already had like the majority of the people in there like 20 or 30 minutes before the game even started. So just listening, like Silva said, everybody playing Sounders and just being excited. Then all of us here at the Uncontested joined in. Really cool, really special. Had a lot of fun, especially when the Thunder started going on that run there in the second half, which we'll get into. Just was really cool and made the game viewing experience just that much more special. So had a blast, and it sounds like all of our Patreon subscribers did as well.
Nick, why don't you tell the folks what happened at the end of the stream last night?
Well, let me start with my experience first.
Okay, you do whatever. Screw me, right? You just do whatever you want.
Well, I want to give some context
I
because
am
I
just
think
teasing. I'm
it
just
builds
teasing.
the moment from my vantage point, and the reason the end cap was so hilarious to me. Discord's not a tool that I use, right? I'm learning. Joining Discord has been difficult. Joining last night for a live watch party felt like I was a 90-year-old trying to use Microsoft Teams for the first time. Like we all have those coworkers. It's like, bro, just click the join button, like turn your camera on, share your screen. That was me. What I didn't know was that not only could everybody talk, they could also use the soundboard. And that's what made the moment I'm going to talk about so special. After the win, somebody had the idea to do just a single tankathon spin. And it was pulled up. The spin happened. And Oklahoma City got the #1 pick. And I had AirPods in. I thought my ears were going to break. I mean, imagine every person in that room smashing a different sounder at the same time over and over and over. So think like the cream cheese sounder and Mike Breen's bang and
Cream
there was
cheese in the chat from George.
yes. Imagine all these sounders that you hear on
Air
our show
horns, lots of air horns.
Lots
just
of air
happening over and over on top of each other. It was just like,
While everybody is screaming.
yes, it was unreal. I if that could have been recorded, I mean,
They would play that at my funeral.
Wow.
I mean,
It was the cherry on top of the evening.
it was.
It was a blast.
It was incredible. Great night. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, join the Patreon. Now let's talk basketball, gentlemen. The Thunder did play the Los Angeles Clippers last night, and what I would say has been the most competitive game of the 6 so far. Thunder got down pretty big in the first half, battled back in the second half, ended up not being really competitive at the end, which is also a theme for this team. They just beat the piss out of you in the second half and you just lose by 20. That's just what happens with this basketball team. But big themes, big thoughts, big takeaways, big performances. What do you got?
The comeback made the watch party a positive experience. There was a moment there in the second quarter when they were down by 15. It was like, man, this could get real boring in the fourth quarter. But I think the Thunder just continued to stay in it, getting it down to single digits before halftime. Actually, they got the lead before halftime at one point, right?
I think so. I think that's
Yeah.
correct.
But ended up going into the half down single digits. Like that was huge. And that alone, is going to give the Thunder a chance. And then the third quarter, they just did the defensive avalanche thing that they've gotten so good at doing this season, where you blink and they're up by 15 points. And it happened again last night. Like the same thing. Like I look down at the scoreboard and I expect to see, 3, 4, 5-point game, and it's like a 12-point lead for the Thunder. And that's probably the fourth time that's happened this season already in 6 games. Like, it's just insane how good this team is at shutting down the opposing team's offense and turning it into points on the other end. Even if the offense is struggling, they use their defense to create offense, which allows them to pull away.
Somebody said the other day that in the peak Warriors dynasty, that death lineup would come in and they had a switch they could flip, and 6 threes later you've just lost the game in the matter of like 5 minutes.
Yep.
And somebody compared the Thunder to that team, but the defensive version.
It was Justin that said that, yeah.
It was. Thanks,
Oh.
Nick.
Shout out Justin.
Shout out Justin.
I did that to Jacob here. What was it, last week, when I thought Silva was the one that said
Yeah.
something about Wiggins? It was Jacob.
Oh yeah, you son of a gun.
The wise philosopher Justin.
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
Justin, that was a great
I don't get a
prompt.
lot of things right, but I got that
You
one
got
right.
that one right. It really feels like that though.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some possessions last night where I think Shea had a layup. They came back down the court. He's running down, pokes the ball out, gets a hit ahead for a 3, or just not for a 3, but for another layup. Case and Wallace put KPJ in hell and just shoved a basketball back down in his face. Leads to a break. Like, when they flip the switch and they get aggressive, it's like, I don't know. It's a religious experience.
I have a question. Do you guys think this defensive success that they're seeing, is this scheme? Is this straight talent? Is it both? Because we've seen teams with all-world defenders. Like, you look at Minnesota, for example. They have a ton of really good defenders on that team, but they don't have this level of success. And the Thunder are still, the youngest team in the NBA, and they're still doing this?
I think it's a little bit of all the above. I mean, we obviously have seen, we saw yet again when, Chet wasn't in foul trouble tonight like he was last night like he was a couple nights ago. But even then, he was struggling. And so we saw Dignall immediately go back to that small ball lineup. We saw Caruso play there. We saw Kaysen come in. Aaron Wiggins got the start again. So that's now 2 starts, a quick aside, for each of Wiggins, Joe, and Kaysen. So I'm curious to see what that looks like tomorrow night. But all that being said, Silva, I think it's a combination of both. You have the personnel now. I forget who it was I was listening to who just mentioned Lou Dort being able to play more off ball on the defensive side of the ball, and the benefits that's shown. I mean, we saw that here a couple nights ago in that third quarter, and we saw it yet again in the second half when the Thunder are going on that run. I mean, when you have Caruso and Kaysen and Dort, and you put those guys out on the floor at the same time, or you can stagger them, do a little bit of all the above. It's pretty incredible. But you also have to give credence to the lineup, what Mark's been doing with those lineups and willing to go small and play some of those defenders together. So I think it'd be a little bit of all the above.
My biggest takeaway, there's a viral clip from the game in which Jalen Williams took a defensive matchup personally. And that was one example of many that you saw last night of this team flipping the switch, and you kind of saw the passion and the energy kind of shift. It was that next gear that this team has that a lot of teams don't have. And I was talking to Adam Francisco at the home opener about the team and the external view of them. And it kind of funny, a couple days later, Draymond Green's dumb podcast, I think it was Draymond Green, his dumb podcast about they shouldn't do interviews together and yada yada yada. Anyways, the big picture takeaway there is, while this team externally and when you watch them on TV is a fun, friendly team, I think it gets lost sometimes that as individuals they're all dogs. I know the barking, it's they're actually incredibly high motor players that when they want to flip that switch, they all can. And when you see a team all flip that switch at the same time, and all 5 guys on the floor have the ability to do that, that's when those defensive runs happen. And I think last night was one of the first times this season where the game was either close enough or they fell behind enough that it was just like this tangible flip. And I think you'll see a lot more of that when games get more competitive when they play the Mavericks and the Timberwolves and the Celtics.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Like, that was the first time last night I was like, oh, okay, these guys, when they don't want to mess around, they have the ability to switch that gear.
I think just in summary, like our biggest takeaway, maybe really from the Thunder 6-0 start, the best start in franchise history. We haven't even mentioned that yet. It's just the Thunder's ability.
I mentioned it earlier.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening per usual.
Taylor's like the worst student you could have.
100%.
Just doesn't listen.
I'm a great student.
No. Here's Taylor. Taylor, you're trying to teach something out of the textbook that you have like an outline for. Taylor's not paying attention to you, but he is actually studying up the same subject, just like doing it like with the YouTube video underneath the desk, like learning his own way. Like when he's not paying attention, it's because he's looking up other Thunder stuff.
It's exactly right.
Not paying attention to you,
and that's exactly right. You teed that up perfectly, Nick. Thank you. That leads me to, I believe, over at SI Thunder, one of your guys, Ethan Baca, had a really good stat just talking about the Thunder's margin of victory in each quarter that they're averaging so far, 6 games in. And you look at the third quarter and the fourth quarter specifically. In the third quarter, Thunder have a winning margin of +7 points. In the fourth quarter, +4.5 points. Seems like they come out of halftime, they just lock in on that identity we talked about, especially on the defensive end of the defensive side of the ball, and that leads to better offense as well. It's no coincidence.
Yeah, and Nick, you mentioned that switch, right? They go into that different mode. We saw that with Lou Dort in the third quarter in Portland, and
yeah,
that was terrifying. Like, that was insane. And they have guys all over the floor that can do that.
Connor in the chat pointing out the biggest difference for me is that teams literally have nobody to target. And if you think about like a go-to for NBA teams, when you need a bucket, go pick on a mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Like that makes the Thunder a challenge right now, is that there's nobody out there you can hunt. And that hasn't been true of this team for the past however many years, right? Like there's always been like, well, he's good, but right now they can put out a lineup on the floor where there's no weak spots.
And the starting
that'll
lineup
probably change.
last night. Yeah. And
that changes over time as teams are going to get film of this team. They're going to scout. Like they're not going to be able to do this forever. And I kind of predict like that'll be the recipe for when the loss comes, is that the defensive avalanche won't hit. The offense will be stagnant and they won't be able to just flip the switch, and they'll end up, losing. But I think for all the reasons you guys just hit on, Mark's scheme, the mentality of the players, like they always have and always will, they're going to respond. So it's going to go through waves as teams adjust, but I don't see any reason why this team wouldn't be able to counterpunch.
Time for a nightly disclaimer of this team still doesn't have Isaiah Hartenstein either.
Yes.
Felt like a good time to plug it.
I mean, when you look at the starting lineup from last night, JD, Justin's talking about like having somebody target. Connor mentioned, they don't have anybody to target. If it was a close game and that starting five was out there, SGA, Aaron Wiggins, J-Dub, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, and Harden wants to cook and get the switch to go for the game, like, who do you target in that situation?
Probably SGA or Wiggins.
SGA, the guy that was like getting all first team NBA defensive votes last year.
Yeah, and SGA, I will give him credit. Like, he is obviously super, super good as an off-ball defender. He's not like an all-world on-ball defender necessarily, but he doesn't have to be that, and that's why this team works so well. So he would kind of be the guy you would target, I think, but that's still not like a great option. He's not he's not Steph Curry or something like, or a Dame. Like, it's nowhere near that type of situation. Nick, you're muted, by the way.
Damn it. Let us not forget that he is 6'6" with a plus wingspan. Like, that's not a guy that is just like huntable.
Yeah, like every team has a weakest defender on the floor. It's just the Thunder's weakest defender on the floor at almost every moment of the game is a guy who is top 40%, top 35% of the league in defense.
Or if they're not, they're They've bought into the system and the scheme, and they fit in just fine.
I think that's an Isaiah Joe description right there.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
a great poll. I would love to see one of those practices where they're just going at it.
Oh,
Like, how
dude.
much fun do you think that is? Not when they're, letting the media in and they're probably not go, but like, I'm talking when guys are going like full bore.
Yes, like in training camp.
That'd be so fun to
Agreed.
sit in on and just see what that looks like. See how those guys go at each other.
I bet that scrimmage run ends like 2-0. Just nobody scores. Some other things that I think from last night that kind of stood out to me. I kind of wanted to dive into some individual stats and whatnot, but we're talking a lot about the defense, which is what this team has hung their hat on for the past 6 games. Clippers scored 35 points in the second half, shot 40% from the field, and had 22 turnovers.
It's crazy.
In just the second half, 22.
No, I'm sorry. The turnovers were for the game.
Got it.
Turnovers and field goal percentage was for the game, but 35 points and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a sustainable number, but my God,
But it
is
doesn't
that
have to
awesome.
be, because they did it to the Trailblazers the night before where they gave up 44 in a quarter and
Uh-huh.
then did the same thing, gave up like 30 something in the whole second half.
I mean, a incredibly high scoring game in 2024 is like 70 to 75 points. Like that's like, oh wow, that team scored a lot of points. If you're able to string together a 35-point half, even if the flip side of the game is the 70 to 75, you're still maybe holding under 100.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Which
or
doesn't
just
happen
above.
in
That's
this day and
exactly what
age.
they're doing.
That's exactly what happened. 105 to 92 last night. Spot on.
You guys want to do the Prairie Artisan Ales King of the Prairie?
Let's do it.
Yes. Clarification. Are we only choosing one king of the prairie?
That's a good question. Do we each want to choose our own individual
Well,
king?
I was going to say, because on the last Wednesday show, I said, no, there was only one king. It's
Brother,
not kings
how
of
many?
the prairie.
Yeah, what the hell?
It's not
It's
kings
singular,
of the prairie.
king of the. Do we have a
Kings.
king
It's
of
not
the
multiple
prairie
kings.
and a prince of the prairie?
Like, bro, just one king.
Clip that.
There's one king.
22:55. Clip it.
Hey, there's a king in the north and a king that sits on the Iron Throne. I mean, you
But
got
ultimately,
multiple
there's
kings.
one king.
It's not a
There's
democracy.
a bunch of guys that think they're kings, and there's one king.
It's a good point.
Jon Snow is my king. Do we all have a?
Who has the nominee?
Do we use the whiteboards for our
boy.
nominees?
Oh,
And Taylor
No.
doesn't have a
I was
whiteboard.
going to say, I don't
Still
know.
don't
Do
have
we,
mine.
Taylor? Just
but I
someone throw
have
in a
my
name.
my
Put it-
Thunder
put it-
notepad still.
Put a
handy
name
dandy.
out there. Quit
It's
edging
Ludort.
the chat.
It's Ludort. It is
Again.
Ludort.
Second game straight.
No.
Who is
You
it,
guys are
Nick?
going Ludort?
I don't think I'm gonna go Lou Doors.
Wow.
Are we not
okay.
doing the whiteboards? Seems like we're not doing the whiteboard.
I think I'm doing Isaiah Joe.
Okay. So let's give some context.
fun.
Lou Dort, 16, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, was 6 of 12 from the field. Isaiah Joe, 12 points, a team high, plus 21, 4 of 8 from 3, 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal.
It felt like all 4 of his threes came in like the absolute biggest must-need moments, whether it was like coming back or like pulling away.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Anybody else have another candidate besides Lou or Joe?
Here's the reality, fellas. It was a foggy second half for me. It's not like I was
And you
doing
didn't
some-
watch the first half.
It's not like I was doing some analysis here. I was more
He
fascinated. by
didn't
the-
watch the first half and doesn't remember the second.
No, I don't.
That's
okay.
you don't have a vote, brother.
I was gonna
That's
say
amazing.
I
That
yield.
sounds like the typical American voter, so I think he should get to cast a ballot.
But I've been doing a lot of my own research.
I'm voting straight point guard.
I think you just sent Jacob.
Jacob about how to spit take.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I'm about to bust.
I'm voting straight point guard as a bar. So JD is telling me he doesn't have a vote.
That
They don't
is
even have a
correct.
write-in, JD.
He's forfeited his vote.
I mean, I would vote SGA because his box score looks phenomenal.
Yeah, I shot 50-50, 100 splits.
I would not vote J
Seems
Dub.
good.
How about that?
Justin, you have anybody you want to add?
I was trying to make the case for someone else. I think
You
I
don't have to be
probably
different.
I think
You
I
don't, have
probably
to, you don't have
lean-
to write in some name that you don't actually believe in.
That's
I'm
not
gonna-
fun.
Chang.
Adam Flagler is my king of the prairie.
All right.
No, I
He
think
seems
I
a little
probably
sexy.
lean Joe. The case I was trying to make in my head was Wiggins. He got the start, thought he played really well. 12 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, plus 15. Like he just is doing all the things, all the Aaron Wiggins things that I kind of like. I like him in the starting lineup. He's been
I kind of
pretty
do too,
good.
dude.
But I'll side with Nick here. I think it's Joe.
All right, Isaiah Joe is your king of the prairie. Should we make Nick, or no, I'm sorry, Nick couldn't do this job. Should we make Justin make a graphic of each of the players with a crown on their head? So
What the
whenever
hell?
we choose a king of the prairie, they
We
have a
just pull it
crown
up.
and then like a prairie beer in their hand.
By I couldn't do it. You mean I don't?
You
want
kept
to,
going,
not
and
that I
Justin's face just
couldn't,
kept-
right.
Not that I couldn't. I
Not
totally
that I couldn't.
could.
I just don't have the time, right? You
More
didn't
and
mean
more
that
work.
I technically wasn't
Yeah.
capable of doing
Nick,
it.
you're the one that's always gassing Justin, saying he can do graphics better than anyone you've ever met.
No,
It's
then
true.
both can be true. I
Other
can be
than Nick.
capable, but Justin can be better.
Okay, touche.
I don't want to be around anymore.
To be clear, I could not make the graphics that Jacob is requesting, but I did not want to hear. Let's give it to somebody that actually do it.
I'm sorry for doubting.
Wow,
your
you struck a
ability.
chord.
He
okay.
did.
Let's
Low
talk about
blow.
that further.
Let's unpack this drama live for the chat.
You guys ready to do some trivia?
Yes.
Do
I
it.
guess so.
Let's do it. Now get out your whiteboards, except for Taylor, who's got some.
My handy dandy notebook.
All
That's
right.
a notebook. That thing is like a sticky note.
I know, but that's
Since
thing from
Taylor
Blue's Clues.
still hasn't got his whiteboard and uses the notebook, should we make him sing the Blues
No.
Clues notebook
no.
song?
Okay, thought you were gonna say the red panda thing again.
No. Should we make him sing the Red Panda thing again?
No.
No,
I can't remember the notebook.
I don't
song.
think there is a notebook song.
Is there not?
No, there
No.
is.
No.
It's like
Is
a
it
jingle. It's
Two's
like
Clues?
more of
There's
a
a
jingle.
song
Blues
for everything
Clues.
if you want
That's
to find
just the
it.
You gotta
Blues
find
Clues
another
theme
pop
song.
print.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
not the
he
notebook
mentions a
song.
handy dandy notebook.
Don't come at me with Blues Clues lore.
All right. So for the chat and for the listeners at home, quick reminder on the Prairie Trivia segment of the week, which somebody needs to put the Prairie Trivia segment of the week graphic on the screen. Producer. Thank
There
you.
it is.
Thank you.
Go to Prairie Artisan Ales tap room. Play trivia every Sunday. It's awesome. Or you could just reserve the not racquetball room, the
Pickleball.
pickleball room,
bruh.
and go play some pickleball. Or you can just go watch like a basketball game or a football game and slam a few beers. Who's got the Prairie beer tonight on the stream?
I think
What
I've
are we
seen
again?
two. One from
What
Silva,
are we
one from
drinking
Nick.
tonight, fellas?
I have a
Silva,
ginger
do you have
ale.
one?
I
I
did my
have a
drinking
ginger
yesterday.
ale.
did
I
my
saw a
drinking
can.
Yeah.
Silva's
He,
hungover.
he had a
got
rough
a-
night yesterday.
Silva, what were you drinking last night from Prairie?
Blueberry Boyfriend. I had also the new one. What is it called? Justin, it's your favorite one with the Seasick Crocodile.
Seasick Crocodile.
Yeah, the seasonal,
Yes.
Super good.
seasonal
I
holiday
could-
beer.
I could sing a song about Seasick Crocodile, but there's already one that exists that inspired the name of the beer.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's their Christmas beer. They've done it for like 4 or 5 years. It's like cranberries and cinnamon, and it just
Ooh.
tastes
It's really good.
fabulous.
Nice.
You should get it while you're playing Prairie Trivia.
There you go.
I had a spicy watermelon girlfriend.
But what did you drink, Taylor?
Also, a spicy watermelon girlfriend.
Whoa,
And it was
wait.
very good. Very good.
Jesus.
All
I'm
right.
turning, I'm turning comments off for myself, so you guys, everyone
Yeah,
else.
get
Ah,
you
yes.
guys get the
Hide the
comments off the
comments.
screen.
Hide
Cool.
the comments.
Chat, you can play along with trivia though. The way this is going to work is I'm going to ask the trivia question. These guys are going to write their answer down on their whiteboard or on their little piece of shit notebook paper, Taylor, and
Oh
then
my god.
we will have
my
them
handy
all
dandy
show their
notebook.
answers. We will read them. This is week 3 of Prairie Trivia, but I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I haven't been keeping track. So the first 2 weeks were practice. We are now officially keeping track of
I don't think
my
anyone
whiteboard.
got any questions right in the
That's
first
fair.
2 weeks.
Trivia. Here we go.
That makes it
Question-
easy.
Trivia question number 1. This comes from friend on the Patreon, Thunder Chick, who says, considering the 6-game winning streak start for the Thunder this year, let's revisit the 6-game starts of all 17 Thunder seasons. That is a total of 102 games. Has the Thunder team won more than they've lost? Wait, that's worded weird. Have they won more or have they lost more of their first 6 games over the past 17 seasons? So that is 102 games.
Oh, we
What
got a
is their-
50-50 shot.
What is their record here? Yeah, I'm throwing you a softball to start off.
Wait, what's the record, or was that winning or losing? What's the question?
Total.
Have they won more or lost more?
Total record, first 6 games, Thunder history.
Yes, in 17 seasons. That's a total of 102 games. I also want you to put the record prediction for 102 games.
Oh.
If you get it right, you get 3 bonus points.
You should get like 20 bonus.
How many of us will actually get a number that equals 102? That's the real question.
That is the real
Gotta
question.
pull out my calculator here.
Yeah.
Justin, we need the phrase.
I was told there'd be no math.
Thank you.
It's 102, yeah.
JD, we really need some like background music for the trivia at some point.
You're right.
It's 102, yeah.
102. Should we make Justin sing the Red Panda music again?
Please don't.
I
Do you
can see
guys have
that-
your
that
answer?
other
You're going
Panda
more
song.
or less, and then you're giving me a record.
Yep.
I don't
ready.
even know if I believe
Ready.
this. Okay, here we go.
All right, gentlemen, reveal your scores.
We all took the
Ooh.
easy math route.
we did.
Yes, you did.
That is insane. Justin,
Yes,
Nick,
you
and
did.
I.
That's so funny.
So, okay, read your answers.
I think that they won more games and that their record is 57-45, which I did use my calculator to determine.
advanced math from Silva.
Justin,
I said they lost more, and I said the record is 42-60.
Taylor,
This is where we start a theme. I said 1 more in their first 6 games, but 62-40.
Nick.
I was also win, but I did 60-42.
The answer. They won more than they lost. I got to back this up a little bit.
Yes.
52 to
Whoa.
50.
Ooh, that's close.
Okay.
So Silva
Okay.
was closest of all of us.
So who said they won more than they lost? We had 3, right? Nick had it. Taylor had it. All right, I gotta write on my whiteboard.
Oh,
here.
look, now we're keeping score.
We got JD. We got JD. We got
Just like last year,
Justin.
right?
Yeah,
Justin?
it's great. Love that.
Damn, Jacob looked it up. The whiteboards that he got us have the dry erase marker.
The
or
magnetic
eraser?
Yeah, magnetic
Awesome.
eraser.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
dope.
We got Nick. And we have
yours green?
Taylor.
Mine's yellow.
I got a green one.
Whoa.
JD. Justin. No, Justin didn't get a point. JD, Nick, and Taylor got a point.
That's right.
Question number 2. Dub is currently averaging 2 steals per game this season. Shea averaged 2 steals a game for the entirety of last season. Before that, who was the last Thunder player to average 2 or more steals for a full season? I'll give you a bonus point if you can
Listen,
guess the year.
Do we get a hint?
No. The last Thunder player to average 2 or more steals per game for an entire season. Who was it? Gets you a point. And if you get that point, you can get an additional point if you can tell me the year.
God, I got a sneaky one, but I don't know if he actually.
And it has to be like
I know.
a guy who actually played. So, for instance, Giorgio Kalazakis did average more than 2 steals. That doesn't
Oh,
count.
really? He did?
Yes.
Or you just hypothetically?
That's pretty
Oh, wow.
crazy.
No, he did. I was shocked. 4 games, baby.
Can't believe he didn't make it.
No Giorgio Kalazakis slander, but he doesn't count.
He counts to me.
Everybody have their guess?
I have an
Yes.
answer that I'm almost positive is right, but I think it was too long ago. And I think someone else may have done it since.
All right,
That's
reveal
kinda
your
what I've been thinking,
answers.
Silva, you got to write bigger, dog.
Yeah, you're right.
What? Taylor, your paper is entirely too close to your camera.
Hey, Russell Westbrook. There's 2 L's in Russell, partner.
I was writing fast.
I almost did the same thing.
All right.
Taylor, I had to look it up.
Frenchman. Russell
Everybody,
Westbrook.
everybody read your answers.
JD?
I said Russell Westbrook, his MVP season, which I think is 16-17.
That's what I had too, but I
Justin.
actually had the year.
I said Westbrook 2018-19.
Nick,
Said Paul George, 2019. I think Dennis Schroeder may have done it, but I had to go with PG.
Schroeder's a good one. I was thinking of PG
the
too.
answer is I'm going to write it on my dry erase board too because I want to participate. I'm feeling FOMO right now.
Schroeder crossed my mind as well, but then I got nervous about having to write Schroeder.
Well
Oh,
done,
my
Nick.
Paul
gosh.
George, playoff P, 18 Nick Crane
Nailed
gets another
it.
2 points.
Unbelievable.
We should probably be specific.
Cha-ching.
I didn't know what year it was. If it was like 2018, 19, or 9. So I just put 2019. So I don't know if that actually counts.
All right, you're losing a point.
But, okay. I'm just being
I was
honest.
gonna say, don't
Trying
talk
to,
him out
trying
of
to
it.
cook
You know that
you're like-
commercial? That
Yes.
commercial where that guy
was
it's
out
out
on
of bounds
me.
on him,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Coach, it was out on me."
Nick is the kid that whenever they would have to answer like A, B, C, or D, they would write a letter to make it look like it
Yes.
was
Oh, yeah.
2 letters.
Yes, that's a
Yeah, 100%.
classic move.
Yes.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
final trivia question. OKC has only 2 rotation players in the top 11 this season who are averaging less than a 5.0 plus minus. Who are they? This season, 6 games.
Man.
There's only, I think, 1 player with a negative plus minus average. There are 2 guys with a 0 plus minus average, but those guys aren't in the regular rotation. Of the top 11 players on the team who are playing, only 2 are below a 5.0 plus minus
5?
average. Yes.
Oof.
Who are the 2
That's
players
wild.
that are below 5?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, it's kind of fluky.
And it was 11
Yeah.
players. That, like, what was the qualifier?
Like the rotation guys. They played in all 6 games, and it wasn't like garbage time.
I
don't feel
Does
good about
Dylan Jones
this.
count? He played 6 games, I think, but I don't think you have a
Only garbage time. So Dylan Jones does not count.
Okay.
I don't feel good about my second one.
And there's 2 players.
Leones doesn't count. DJ doesn't count. Dukas doesn't count. Flagler doesn't count. Reese doesn't count.
Oh man.
2 players are averaging below 5.0 plus minus per game. All the other guys are over 5.0. Actually, I want to call him Dump Truck Dukas. Thank you for that.
A plus.
Throw some mayo on that glizzy. Why? Why would you play that?
I wasn't looking at the screen, and I didn't think that was a sounder at first.
Thought Jacob just randomly threw it out there.
I did.
Ugh.
We ready?
You guys
I
got
don't
your
think so.
answers?
I was
I
just trying to
don't
fill
think
the
so.
air with sounders.
I am writing the correct answer on my dry erase board. What do you guys got? Let's see them.
Boom.
So Nick has AJ Mitchell and Isaiah Joe. Taylor has J-Dub and Chet. I think Taylor might have misunderstood the question. Justin had Oos and AJ, and JD had Caruso and J-Dub. The correct answer is
AJ and Oos. That seems
I'm
way
back,
too easy.
baby.
AJ has a
I
Way
overthought
too
it.
4.0
easy.
plus minus. Oos has a 1.3 plus minus. Everyone else is 6.8 or higher. The next is Aaron Wiggins at 6.8.
insane.
That's insane.
Joe's at an 8.2. Dort at a 9.0.
That
Caruso
Galaxy Branson.
9.3. Dub 10.7. Chet 11.2. Kaysen Wallace 13.5.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the MVP candidate SGA 15.2 plus.
I was thinking
minus
Oos had
average.
like some astronomical plus minus that looked great, and so I didn't want to go with
So
him. I thought that was
Justin
too
gets
easy.
a point there. So
Yeah,
our
I should
trivia
get 2
score for the
points.
week: JD 1, Justin 1, Taylor 1, Nick Crane got 2.
Boom.
I just want to apologize to all my fans out there. I really galaxy brained myself with today's round.
Hey,
He
chat,
does have
you
some
guys,
fans.
if you guys have ideas on what the winner for trivia at the end of the season should get, send them over. We'd love to hear them. Drop them in the
I
Discord
hate
if you're
that
in the
you said, "Hey,
Patreon.
chat," like you're some
Hey, chat.
14-year-old.
Hey, chat, TikToker.
Chat. Hey, chat.
Hey, Chet. All right, let's go to a break. On the other side, we're going to play a game of Take It or Leave It. We'll be right back. And we are back. Gentlemen, it's time for an uncontested classic. Take it or leave it. It's a really simple game. I'm going to give you guys a statement. You tell me if you are taking it, meaning you believe the statement, or you are leaving it, meaning you think the statement is false. I'll call on one person to answer, and then we'll just kind of have a discussion on what we think. JD, you want to be first?
Yeah.
All right. Take it or leave it. OKC's offensive rating and defensive rating will stay within 3 positions of where it is right now in the league. Currently, they are number 1 in defensive rating in the league, and they are number 14 in offensive rating in the league. Also, before you answer, I want to clarify because I've had a few people mention this to me. Offensive rating is points per 100 possessions. Defensive rating is points given up per 100 possessions. But the Thunder are number 1 in defensive rating, number 14 in offensive rating. JD, take it or leave it. They will stay within 3 spots of those numbers.
I am definitely leaving that specifically for the offensive portion. There's no way in my mind that they stay within 3 positions of 14th. Like if 11th is their ceiling, this team is just different than we thought they were. I did a quick Google search. I think they were third last year in offensive rating.
Yeah.
So
They
that would
scored
be
about 6 points more per 100 last year.
Yeah, and they added floor spacers and they added new layers to their offense. Although we haven't seen the Hartenstein aspect of it yet. I just think there's no way. Like this team is having some offensive struggles, but to me, it's not like in their DNA all of a sudden. It's just they're having offensive struggles, and that is it.
And over the past couple of games, they've now shot over 40% from 3. They shot very poorly, or I shouldn't say very, but they shot poorly from 3 the first 2 games or so. So I'm with you. So I think that evens out, and we'll see guys like Dub be more efficient, Shea be more efficient offensively as the season goes along, and we still have Hartenstein, who I think is going to be a very efficient player as well.
That's what I was going to bring up. I think the addition of Isaiah Hartenstein changes the non-Shea minutes significantly in how they should be able to score the basketball. It just opens up so much more. And I think that's where the offense has gotten pretty rough. Like, yes, they've missed some shots that they should make, but when it starts to feel like the offense has gone kind of stagnant, man, it's missing an Isaiah Hartenstein to be able to facilitate some things, to draw some attention, to change up how the defense can play you. Like he's going to unlock a lot of things for this team.
Even Jay will, just like a screener would help.
Yeah, right.
And another facilitator, just like iHeart. I agree.
Man, I wish iHeart was playing. Can't wait for the debut. Cannot wait. Smoot in the chat says, we've already got 2 obligatory. This team doesn't even have iHeart comments yet. It's going to be awesome when he gets here. Next, take it or leave it. Justin, Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein will be the only 2 players on the team to shoot above 50% from the field this season.
I will not stand for this Alex Dukas slander. I'm doing some quick searching on the fly. I was hoping for some context.
I got some context for you.
Okay.
Chet Holmgren is 54% from the field.
Okay.
Wiggins 52, Dort 51. They are the only ones over 50%. AJ's at 47, Shea's at 47, Kaysen at 45, Dub at 43, Jang at 42,
Yeah.
Joe at 42.
Okay. Are we
Caruso's
factoring out?
Caruso's at 27%.
Are we factoring out
Yeah.
the guys like Dukas? And,
Yes.
Okay.
The dump truck is going to get buckets. We can't include him in this.
I'm
conversation.
still inclined to say no. I mean, Shea was flirting with 50, 40, 90-ish numbers for a while last year, and you got to think with as much as he can get to the rim, that's still in play. Do I think he hits the numbers he did last year? No, because of it seems like the volume of threes is going to hold him back from that a little bit, but I still think he's a guy that could get above 50. I would expect J-Dub to get up there and be in that territory again with like the explosiveness and getting to the rim. I
Aaron
feel
Wiggins
good
will
about
be
those
there
two.
for
Maybe,
sure.
yeah, Wiggins is a good one. But I do think, like, with this team, there's clearly a higher emphasis on volume 3-point shooting this season, at least through
Until
6
there's
games.
not. Until there's
Right.
not.
If
I
this,
think
if
it's an
that
experiment.
holds,
Yeah.
if that holds, then the numbers could look quite a bit different than say they did last year. And maybe the overall percentage comes down for everybody, but the scoring takes a different look. But I'm leaving this one. I would be shocked if it was just Chet and Hart.
So for quick reference, assuming we're not including Bismack Biyombo or Olivier Sarr, the Thunder had Wiggins above 50%, J-Dub above 50, Shea above 50, Chet above 50, Trey Mann was right at 50, and Kaysen was at 49.
Yeah. I feel good about leaving that.
Okay. This was a question designed kind of around that volume 3 idea.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that one? Or are we moving on? We probably need to move
got
on. I didn't realize we're so deep in the pod right now.
Doesn't it feel later than it currently is?
Dude,
for some
this
reason?
time change
Definitely
just got me
does.
wrecked.
I'm
Crazy.
I am cooked.
My children were
I'm so
feral
tired.
today.
We also got woken up. Some of us got woken up by tornado sirens.
Yeah,
that
like
too.
1:30 in the morning. Crazy.
Dude, I woke up and it said tornado warning in your area. And I just thought, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I'm not getting
I'm
out of
going
this
back
damn
to
bed.
sleep.
I did too. I was like, but I'm so tired.
Just take me now.
Take me now. I'm done. Taylor, take it or leave it. J-Dub's offensive inefficiency is an aberration. God, look at this vocabulary
I
words.
know, man.
J-Dub's
Taylor doesn't even know what that means.
I know.
Can you define that? Can you put it in a sentence?
It is in a sentence, you jackass. J-Dub's offensive inefficiency is an aberration and will steady out closer to last season's efficiency by the turn of the year.
Statistics, Holmes.
I am taking it. I already rattled off how he shot last year. I think we're going to see that as well. I actually mentioned this. I can't remember if I said it to you guys or on a podcast here recently, but J-Dub's start to the season this year kind of reminds me of like the last handful of years of Russell Westbrook with the Thunder, where they both bulked up in the offseason. We saw them be a little more inefficient early in the season and kind of have to adjust to that. And as the season goes along, they lose some of that because they aren't lifting quite as frequently, obviously, and they also adjust to it. So I think for that reason, J-Dub will get right back to where he was. I'm not concerned at all. Also, I think something to be said as well. J-Dub's getting some really tough defensive assignments.
Yeah,
to start the season.
brothers got some respect.
Yep.
Any other J-Dub thoughts? All
It's-
right.
Oh, and I'll leave it at this. The shot selection and the spots he's choosing are not too dissimilar from last season and the season prior when shots were falling. So it's hard to be concerned.
And for what it's worth, there were like a lot of layups that just rimmed out last night.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
smoking layups at the rim, which is not typical for him and for Shea.
Yeah.
Nick, take it or leave it. Mark Daignault will settle on a consistent starting 5.
This is a fun one.
Taylor mentioned it earlier. We've had Wiggins twice, Joe twice, Queso twice.
By when?
Let's say Christmas.
No, he will still be fluid, as he likes to say. I think as we get towards the start of December, there will be more of a sample size that would suggest that somebody's coming into the fold as the primary guy. And then Isaiah Hartenstein comes back and we don't know anything anymore. And it's like a whole new experiment. And there's no way by Christmas that we have like a bona fide starter.
I agree.
What about trade deadline?
That I could see. 'Cause I think there's value in having your playoff starting five get some cohesion down the stretch. It's assuming they don't make a big deadline move. Whole nother topic. But no, I think I would take it if it was trade deadline.
Does anyone feel confident in who that would be? Who would be the fifth starter? Because I sure as hell
Not
don't.
at this point, no.
I don't. And to be clear,
I
like
was so confident it was going to be AC.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
And he hasn't
Me
had
too.
one.
it still could be him though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that even if by the deadline it's like this guy is the starter, I wouldn't be shocked if March named the date. There's a matchup where like Mark flexed it. Like if it wasn't Hartenstein, all of a sudden Hartenstein's starting this one game. So like assuming your question is like with a caveat, I think there will be a consistent starting lineup by the deadline.
All right.
I would also question: does consistent have to mean one, or could it be
Good point.
positional? Right? Like there's a couple, kind of like we've seen this year. Again, like too small of a sample size to know. But if it's like there's 2 or 3 that they really like and they kind of change it up depending on who they're playing, I could see something like that becoming the norm for the latter half of the season.
And the harder part is that this sample size has been with no injuries. What happens when somebody misses 2 weeks? Then all of a sudden it's like, well, now we really don't know because 2 of these guys that they really like are starting. You know, it's going to be really hard to say.
Technically, there are 2 injuries with Jay Will and Hartenstein, though. I wonder with them healthy if I don't know. It's interesting.
All
Jacob
right.
Niffin's hair says, "What about by the parade?"
Who are the 5 on top of the float?
Where would the parade be? I know,
Well,
like
that-
downtown, but like
Boat
bad boy's
parade
going
down the
right-
canal.
Right down
Yes.
Reno, baby.
That'd be insane.
you think
Wherever
so?
I can catch a beer that Jay Will throws.
Bro,
That's
he would-
still his goal.
Which street is it that has that old hotel where like it's just like all cocaine and prostitutes? That's where they should run it. Is it 29th Street? I'm not saying this from experience, just so we're clear.
Okay,
You're the only guy that knows about this hotel.
I've never
I was
heard
gonna
of it.
say.
You shouldn't
I've
give
never-
out your address on the
never
pod
heard
like
of
that.
this.
Also, I've got some serious thunder and lightning going on in the background.
I was wondering what that
Man.
was.
Is that where you
I'll
played
take
that show where that guy kept opening the curtain and saying,
Nope, that was in Houston, Texas.
That's
Also known as
Ugh.
the asshole of America.
one of my favorite Jacob stories.
Oh, no, I got some thunder. It's a little spooky out here in Oklahoma City.
Wow.
All right, let's
That's
take
a
a break
sign.
on the other side. JD's taking us around the association, and we'll make some predictions before we get out of here. We'll be right back. And we are back. JD, take us on a trip.
I don't even know where you're sitting at. Like,
I have a fear that one of these days I'm gonna play that sounder, and it's just not. You guys won't be able to hear it, but you just also don't say anything, so we're just sitting in silence for 20 seconds or however long that sounder is.
I don't think we have that much patience.
No, it'd have to be a grand prank that you all planned in advance. If he ever does it, don't tell him. So we're around the association now. Well, Jacob, I was like, oh yeah, Jacob said I'm taking us around the association. So here we are. Everybody, hop on board. I have a question. We're gonna do a vote, rapid fire vote, because the Bucks are bad.
do
And
we just have a
old,
sounder on top of the real thing at the exact same
That
time?
was
I think so.
yeah.
a duet, if you will.
They, the
With
Bucks
myself.
are a sad sack right
What'd
now.
you just say? Did you say I bucked myself?
What? I said, no, a duet with myself.
Oh,
I'm afraid I just
Lord
bucked
have
myself.
I
what you want.
legit thought we
Don't
just
even know
got
what that
I
means.
bucked myself.
Not what you want. The Bucks, I think, are 1-5 at this point. 1-6, maybe. They are very
good.
sad, and I am of the belief that a Giannis trade will happen at some point now. Like, they can't retool around him here. I think he is going to be on the trade block at some point. So I wanted to ask the group: would you trade for Giannis? Would you want the Thunder to trade for Giannis? We're just gonna go round the table here, yes or no, and then we'll discuss it. I'm gonna go first.
So we're considering like what a trade package would look like, the assets.
The
and we'll
question
just-
is just, would you trade for
Would-
Giannis? The answer is yes. It should be an outstanding yes from every single person on the
Wow.
stage.
Okay,
It's a
Nick.
yes.
Okay, Nick says yes. Taylor.
I'm like really torn on this. Yeah, in a vacuum, you say yes.
There's been no package discussed. The question is, would you trade for Giannis?
Well,
the
but
answer is-
Jacob just said we're taking a package into
Well,
consideration.
you have to assume that there will be a significant package. We're not.
You have to
leaving it
We'll
all
go
assume-
into that
assume the
after you answer
implications.
the question.
Yes, you know generally.
Nick is so literal. I love it.
Yes,
Well, that was the question.
yes.
You have to assume the implications of what that means. It's not you're trading Alex Dukas for Giannis.
No, it's like
Yeah,
Chet
I'm
or,
out.
It's like
And-
Chet or
and for
J-Dub
that,
will be
I'm
gone.
out.
Chet or Dub will be gone in order to make this happen. We can assume that.
Taylor,
Okay, well,
your
that's
that's
how
answer?
I
given
feel.
additional information. And I agree with you for what it's worth. It would have to be one of those two. The answer is still yes if it's not Chet.
Okay.
I think I'm still no. I don't know if I want to give up all the future picks, have a super expensive team.
I didn't say all the future picks.
I mean, it's going to be a lot of them, plus J-Dub, plus you're going to have to pay these guys. I love the way that Presti has built this team and has them set up for sustained success moving forward, just with these additional picks that you can surround some of these guys like the J-Dubs and the Chets and Shays when those extensions and those new contracts come up. Where if you trade for Giannis, it's going to be a very expensive team, and that window gets very, very tight again. We're right back to Thunder 1.0. I don't think that's the direction
Are you?
Presti wants to go. I think so.
You're saying that if it flames out and Giannis sucks and you don't win a championship in the last 3 years of his prime, Chet and Shea, along with the other things you've accumulated along the way, aren't good enough to keep your window open? You're telling me
mean,
I'm
you're
the first, like
selling
I'm
Giannis?
one of the biggest J-Dub believers out there. I think he could be a top 20 player in the next couple of years. We're talking about a perennial top 5 MVP, best player in the league type guy who would be in the front court next to Chet Holmgren anchoring your defense.
And does that hinder Chet's development too? Do we see?
Oh my God.
I don't know.
This,
Screw
This
development.
is a
winning
hell of a
titles,
rapid
brother.
fire segment, JD. You did a good
Can
job.
you? Are you winning a
Thank you.
title though? That's the thing. If it flames out,
I'm absolutely a yes with
You can't
Nick
be-
on
yeah,
this
you can't
one.
be scared.
This conversation to me feels like the Lakers didn't really want to part with Talen Horton Tucker.
Right.
Like, okay, fine. Chet's development might not be the same, but he's playing next to Giannis, and that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
82 nights out of 82 nights on the schedule. Like, that's going to win so many basketball games together. Fine. If Chet's like not quite as good as he would be had Giannis not come, oh well.
but you're getting like 4 bites at the apple compared to like 20.
20?
Yeah. But
J-Dub playing
your
till he's
hope,
45?
okay, Taylor, 20 bites, best case scenario, absolute best case scenario is you find a Giannis.
Yeah.
In 20 bites, that'd be phenomenal
On
if you
a
found
rookie
one
scale
Giannis
contract.
on any contract.
But nobody's going to be Giannis on a rookie scale contract. Giannis wasn't Giannis on his rookie scale
Correct.
contract.
True.
Giannis wasn't Giannis till he got his second, third. Unless you can sit here and look me in my face and say Jalen Williams will for sure be better than Giannis. Because let's not forget, he'll be on a max contract in a couple years too. Not as big. You think Jalen Williams, you are for sure will be better than Giannis.
I'm on record saying that when the Thunder win a championship, that I think J-Dub is either the best or second best player on this team.
Well, if that's your belief.
That
then
was
you
a hell
probably
of a
shouldn't make the
non-answer,
trade.
Taylor.
You definitely should not make the trade if you believe that is a real thing.
I think
Jacob,
it
what's
is.
your answer?
I'm pass. I'm not getting into this shit show of a
You
discussion.
have to.
Pass.
Come
You can't,
on,
you
what?
can't say
Pass.
pass.
Giannis would be awesome on the team. The vibes on the team are currently awesome. it's a win-win situation.
Was that yes or no?
Boo.
I don't know. You decide.
Jacob doesn't know how to
Boo.
participate when he's not hosting.
I know.
He can't play.
No, I
can't
just
play
don't want to get
Switzerland.
yelled at by Nick.
I like this team. If they do nothing else splashy, will have plenty of bites of the apple. There's no doubt. I think what people are scared to make the big move because of what Taylor's describing, like your window shortens.
And you don't have to. There's no need to.
Totally. And I don't think this is the case. But there's also a world where you keep this big three and J-Dub doesn't want to be around and wants to be the primary guy and leaves in 4 years. Like that's also a scenario, not a likely one, but like you can't just be on your unicorn riding around saying this team's going to be good for the next 20 years. Like that's
Speak
also
for
not
yourself.
like
I will
let's
ride.
be real.
All right,
Never
I
mind.
will offer a little bit of perspective. This team has currently constructed for this season and for next season versus this team with no J-Dub, iHeart, picks, and what maybe like a Wallace or a toe pitch or something. What percentage does that move the meter for likely to win a title? Because I think the Thunder are like top 1 or 2 title favorites this year and next year. You add Giannis, how much does that, but you lose those other pieces, how much does that move the needle towards better chance of winning a title? Because that's what this comes down to. And you could say it makes them a million times better,
But in a
but
short
you only
window.
need to be the best team in the league, right? And if that takes from the best team in the league to by far the best team in the league, you're still number one.
I
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
totally. And we're talking about a team that's 6-0 and the vibes are all time high.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think if we had this conversation after getting a gentleman's sweep by the Celtics in the finals, all of a sudden you're like, how the hell do you get over this fucking hump? It's the Celtics. They're going to be
Ooh, Nick's
really
getting
damn good.
feisty.
Yeah.
I'm just
I totally
I
agree.
get you. I get
we're
you.
not talking about trading for Trey Young. We're talking about a top 5 bona fide player in this league year in
For
and
sure.
year out. It
And
doesn't
I
on
think,
both
you need,
ends
I
of the
think you
floor.
need more of a sample before you could ever make that decision.
Totally agree. This
Agreed.
whole thing is so
Right.
highly head
In
in the
the-
clouds hypothetical. But
Yes.
Jacob, to answer your question, yeah, they're one of the top favorites now. But I would venture to bet that percentage of like likelihood is still incredibly low. Like, you know how hard it is for a team to win a
Well,
championship. Even
For sure,
if it
it's low
looks,
now, and I think if you get Giannis, it's still low.
I think
It's not a
think,
guarantee.
but I think it goes up enough to make it worth it.
Interesting.
Because
Even if-
because I
yeah.
think that it's exponential.
Regardless, it's a gamble, right? It's a gamble.
Everything's a gamble.
Yeah, for sure. Life's
The
a gamble.
Bucks just did something similar.
I mean, podcasting
trading-
during this thunderstorm's a gamble, but it's a gamble. And are you willing to make the gamble of the assets you would give up in the long term for the chance at a title in a short term, and the
Right.
percentage chance that it moves that meter? And for what it's worth, I don't think there is a right or a wrong answer. I think it's more based around preference of team building and team need, depending on what the sample shows you of what this team actually needs.
And we've seen Presti make that kind of trade.
We are going to
before.
have the 2-hour pod.
We've seen
I didn't
Presti
realize
make
this
that
would
kind
happen.
of trade
I didn't think this
before.
would happen.
JD just like lit
You
the
didn't
match
think
and threw it on the
You
gas.
did.
and
potentially
ran
He's
away.
just
trading
been
for
quiet.
Giannis
Silva
would
just like
spark a
he's like the
conversation?
Silva's like
I
the
didn't-
Homer Simpson meme where he just like goes back in the bushes.
Yeah,
It's exactly
well,
what he just did.
I knew it would spark a conversation, but I didn't know it would spark this passionate of a conversation. I haven't even answered yet.
Hey, it is. Hey, before you answer, it's so
Yeah.
passionate. Can we get the sounder? This means something to me.
This shit means something to me, man.
Thank you.
The logical choice, the choice that a GM like Presti would probably make is to answer your question, Jacob. How much does this make the team better, even if they're already the most likely to win? Even if it is however marginal the increase is, if it does increase your odds, you probably should do it if the price is right. This is obviously not something they would do right now. You'd have, in Presti terms, you'd want more data before you ever made a decision like this.
Mm-hmm.
If I were the GM, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be too scared, and because I'd be, oh god, the window's shrinking. This is our one shot. If we don't win it in the next 2 years, like what's gonna happen? I don't know. That's why I'm not a GM. I'm not cut
That's
out
what
for that.
Silva
Like,
says. after he takes an edible.
Oh God, the window's shrinking.
Yes, that's true.
The window's shrinking. I'm too scared.
Yeah, forgot how to breathe.
That window needs a blue chew, brother.
Yeah. My God.
Former
Yikes.
sponsor of the pod.
Yikes.
Yeah. No, I probably wouldn't do it, and I would also realize that might not be the right decision because Giannis is so special, and everyone. I don't know. I liked Taylor and Nick. Like what you guys just went through there emotionally really meant a lot to me, and I'm glad I got to witness it.
Both sides of the spectrum. Hey, that being said, you did bring up something that made me think. I mean, the Thunder are very interested in Giannis in the draft. They were sending scouts overseas. They're one of like however many teams. When that story came out here years back, like one of 3 teams, like the Hawks, the Bucks, the Thunder, that were really interested. So I mean, there's obviously they've established their database on a player like Giannis. So
I think
get
every
it.
team in the league at this point has established that database.
Well, and I think
Pretty
the
easy.
other notable thing to say here is I'm not saying the Thunder should proactively hit up the Bucks tomorrow and say, hey, what would it take?
Yeah.
I'm saying if at the trade deadline, or frankly, I would like
Probably
to see
next summer.
I'd like to see one run at it with
Yep.
the current team.
Yes.
But
And for what it's worth, I think that would be the Bucks timeline as well.
Yeah,
Trading
sure.
a guy like Giannis at the deadline just doesn't
makes no
happen.
sense. Makes no
No.
sense. But I think it would. Like, if we know anything about Presti, it's a leveraged play. I don't think Presti would ever be the like guy pushing the envelope for a trade like this. It would have to be like a Bucks are back against the wall and Giannis has requested a trade and he's given 5 teams he'd go play for. All of a sudden you're at the table and you have some leverage. And I think in that situation you have to consider it. I'm not
Definitely.
saying go call up the Bucks tomorrow because I think that this team can win a championship with its current roster. I am the reason you see the passion. I get so frustrated seeing fans of every team when this kind of stuff comes out. I wouldn't trade this guy for Giannis. It's like, why?
You know what? I see where this frustration is coming from. Nick is a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh boy.
It makes so much sense.
What does that have to do with Giannis?
Watching the season play out, I get it.
For
Jerry
what
Jones
it's
sitting on his hands.
last
should
thought
tank.
on the Giannis.
I told you
talk.
that like a month ago, and you.
Hey, this
hop
isn't a
back on me.
Dallas Cowboys podcast.
It's a
That's a
Taylor
sounder.
Nick debate podcast. In the spirit of
Jesus.
the election coming up in a couple nights.
That should be our new tagline. The uncontested. This isn't a Dallas Cowboys podcast.
For what it's worth, I think if the summer came and Giannis wanted out, I think the first phone call the Bucks make is to Oklahoma City.
100%.
I think the first phone call any team that wants to trade their star makes is probably to Oklahoma City.
I
Hello, sir.
also
Can I have 15
Nick talked
picks,
about
please?
having
Yeah.
leverage at the bargaining table. I think there are other teams who would overpay at such an insane rate out of desperation
The Rockets.
that the Thunder would be out. The Rockets is where my mind is going.
And the Thunder shouldn't try to outbid a team like the
Yeah.
Rockets if they were to overpay. My point is just the question was, would you trade Giannis for a player like Chet or Dub? And I said, if it was Dub, yeah, you should highly consider that.
Chat keeps so many comments in the chat.
happening?
I can't get
I don't know.
Snoop's comment up there. that I
Justin's
want. There we
supposed
go.
to have control of the comments right now, and Taylor's just gone rogue like he did at the watch party.
Clicking, just clicking everything.
All right. I think it's time to make some predictions and get out of here, boys. JD, I don't know if you had more around the association, but you just completely killed the segment.
No, that's all I had. No.
In
weren't
a
gonna
good
talk-
way.
we
Killed
weren't gonna
it in a
talk
good
Drake?
way.
No.
No, please no.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about Drake.
No.
Gentlemen, let's make some predictions before we get out of here. First game, tomorrow night, Monday, the Thunder are back in Oklahoma City at the Paycom Center to take on the Orlando Magic.
Hey,
However-
quickly, chat is all saying Embiid.
Oh
at
yeah,
once.
that was pretty cool when that happened during the
don't-
live watch party. That made for some fun.
Yeah, Embiid shoved a reporter that said some really bad things.
Shoved.
Yeah.
The reporter should have not have published those things. Embiid's also probably going to get suspended. That's really all I have to say about that.
That's fair.
Good for
That's
Embiid.
fair.
I'm
I
pro
think
Embiid.
if I had an angry Joel Embiid coming at me, I would get like
Pray?
Benjamin buttoned into a small little fetus and then just die on the spot.
Probably. All right. Thunder take on the Orlando Magic Monday night in Oklahoma City. No Paulo Banchero with a torn oblique. Sounds painful. I think it's
His
a
stomach
torn
hurts.
oblique. Or...
He got a tummy ache.
He had
Paulo
Chipotle
Banchero.
too.
Paulo Banchero, DMP, tummy ache. Nick, what is your prediction for Monday night? Do the Thunder get to 7-0?
I do think so. They got slapped in Dallas tonight on the first night of their back-to-back. I think tomorrow could be similar.
All right, so Nick's going W. Taylor, make sure you guys also know which one your money ball is.
I agree with Nick, and I have this one as my money ball.
JD, what's our money ball sounder for the year?
It's a good question.
Just choose one. It can change.
Beef stroganoff.
Thank you. Justin, what happens tomorrow night?
Thunder get a win.
JD?
Thunder get a win with
Beef stroganoff.
the money ball.
I am going Thunder Dub. They will get a win. Wednesday night, they travel back to the mountains of Colorado to take on a Denver Nuggets team that might not be very good. JD, what do you got in Denver for Wednesday night?
I've got the first L of the season. I don't
Okay.
think the Nuggets are good, to be clear, but it has to happen at some point, and it's just going to happen then.
Justin?
I had a similar internal monologue, Silva, but I've decided I'm just going to play the odds this week. So I'm going with a win in Denver.
TP?
That's smart. I think we all had the same thought process here. I'm also going with the L just because that's a quick turnaround. We're going up into elevation. Home court advantage for the Nuggets. So I got the L.
Nick?
Moneyball win.
Ooh.
Beef stroganoff.
Chad is also saying Jamal Murray might not play. Had I known that, maybe I would have considered something else. But once again, I did not research these things.
I'm on
Shooting
the
from
same
the
train
hip.
of thought as Justin. I am going with a W. Friday night, the Thunder come back home to take on the Houston Rockets. Nick, what happens in this game, and does Şengün, who has been benched in clutch time for most of the season, end up looking like a little boy?
I think this is their first loss of the season.
What about the little boy?
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like that should be a sounder.
What about the little boy?
No.
Justin, what happens in Oklahoma City on Friday night?
Thunder get a win. And I'm going to money ball it.
Whoa.
Because I'm money balling with my heart.
Stroganoff.
JD, what happens Friday night? Thunder versus Houston.
I predicted a 2-game skid here, so this is another L for me.
Wow.
You're a monster.
hater in the chat. Taylor, what do you
At
got?
some point.
This is one I consider for an L. I think they get the W because I really want it. I hate losing to Houston. Hate it.
I will be in
Hate it.
attendance Friday night. Give me that money ball, baby.
Beef stroganoff.
We are getting so much use out of that sounder tonight.
Too much.
Last game of the week, Sunday, still at home. The Thunder take on second place in the West, Golden State Warriors. Are the Warriors for real, folks?
No.
JD, what do you say?
Thunder win, and they talk some shit to Draymond after all the stuff he said on this podcast.
What if they brought Draymond into the group interview after the game?
Draymond Bart.
Nick Gallo, this is Draymond Green.
They make Draymond bark. That dude.
What do you think the odds are that someone barks at Draymond?
Oh, when
During the
J
game.
Dub barks,
That's
at
exactly
Draymond that
who
night,
I was picturing.
I'm regardless of where I'm at, I'm taking my shirt off, getting down on all fours.
That would have been a great time for the "What about the little boy" sounder.
What the dog doing?
Oh, we're getting so off the rails. Who have I even asked about this game? JD and Taylor?
Yep.
I'm going with a W as well. A dub against the Dubs.
Justin, what'd you say?
Did
I even ask you?
I said a win.
Nick, what do you say?
Steph should be back by then. I still think it's a win.
I'm going win as well. I don't remember what we all said. Did everybody give a money ball?
We did.
Yep.
Okay,
beef
I will
stroganoff.
put these in a spreadsheet. Listeners, we need to know what the winner of the predictions contest gets at the end of the year. So if you've got ideas, send them over. This is the first official week we're keeping score because I haven't kept score the first 2 weeks. So
Unbelievable.
that was the pre-test. We are now in the thick of it.
It's almost like someone could go back and watch these podcasts here that we record and catch
It's
up
like
on
this
them.
stuff's
Thanks for volunteering,
documented.
Nick.
Sounds like
No,
Jacob hasn't done very well. The
Depending
first
on my
year.
That's
record, I
what
might
I'm
go back
thinking,
and
Taylor.
document it.
JD didn't even give predictions last week. So
That sounds like
Sounds
his
like
problem.
a bunch of L's.
Sounds like
It
his
does.
problem.
It does.
all right.
Unfortunate.
I think it's time to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Uncontested. We appreciate you. Again, if you were in the live stream tonight, there's a lot of you. Go hit that like button. It's a little thumbs up. Go do that for us, please. Scan the QR code. Join the Patreon. People in the chat will tell you it is an incredible experience. You'll have a blast hanging out in the Discord. So go do that. Follow us on social media. If you're watching the YouTube video later, still hit that like. Follow us on YouTube and all other social media channels. We've got a full week for you guys. Tomorrow, Nick will be on the post game after the Thunder beat the Orlando Magic. Wednesday, we're all here after the Denver game. Well, we're not all here, but more of us than just Nick. Friday, somebody will podcast. We just don't know who yet. And then we're back Sunday after the Golden State Warriors game, as always. Have a great start of your week. Hopefully those of you in Oklahoma affected by storms aren't too bad off, but thoughts out to all of you. And we will see you tomorrow night after the Orlando game right back here on the Uncontested YouTube page. Until then, and as always, Thunder up.